Have you considered starting a podcast for your business? Or maybe you already have one but are afraid of pod fading because you just didn't realize how much time post production would take. I can help. My company, podseam.com, makes podcasting as seamless as possible. We help you launch, manage, market, and monetize your podcast seamlessly. We do more than just podcast editing and production. We help you leverage the power of podcasting to get new leads and grow your business. Learn more at podseam.com. That's PODSEAM.com. To the Frugalpreneur Podcast. I am your host, Sarah St. John, and my guest today is known as the Millionaire Habits Coach and the Mental Health Coach to the stars. He has worked with Hollywood celebrities, eight-figure companies, athletes, and more. And last but not least, we share the same last name. And no, we aren't related, at least not that we're aware of. Please welcome to the show, Noah St. John.
Hey, Sarah, great to be here with you.
Before we get started, can you tell us a little bit more of your background? I know I kind of covered a little bit of an overview, but just would like to hear more about how you got started and
Well, it's funny because I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood, and I know that's a total cliche, but it's totally true. I grew up in this little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which happens to be one of the wealthiest communities in New England, but my family was dirt poor, and I mean that literally because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure. So you hear these speakers, they get on stage and they say, "Well, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor." Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor because my mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, it wasn't happy. It sucked. And so from a very young age, I hated that life of poverty, fear, lack of, and not enoughness, because I saw that right down the street there was great wealth and abundance. So I said, how the heck do I get from here to there? So I mentioned that I'm known as the mental health coach to the stars and the father of affirmations. And another thing that I'm known as being is the nerdiest nerd in the self help industry. I'm basically the Sheldon Cooper of self help. And what I mean by that is it's such a nerd, and I have to roll up my sleeves, and if there's something that's a problem that I can't solve, I won't stop until I solve it. And that's what I did. I mean, I had to solve this problem of how do I get from not enough to enough, and really went to the library, read every book that I could on the subject of personal growth, success, all the classics, Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, Stephen Covey, and all them. And, I really, really tried to get them to work, but I really couldn't get them to work. As hard as I tried, as much as I tried, I really couldn't get them to work. So at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide because I was so depressed and frustrated with life. And at the very last moment, my life was spared, and I said, I've got to find my purpose. Why am I still here on this earth? I don't know why I'm here. And so I went on another long journey to find my purpose here on the earth, and I read a lot of spiritual books. First studies that I was doing was more like outer game, and then I went and started studying the inner game. And so that really led to in 1997 when I had two epiphanies that changed my life. 1997, so it was 25 years ago when I started my company, successclinic.com, in a 300 square foot basement apartment with $800 and a book on HTML. And so I had no money, no connections, no business experience, no marketing, no sales, really nothing. Really just had a deep burning desire to help people and to make a difference. And so I was able to how to sell things online. It took a long, long time. And so after the first 10 years, I ended up in 2007 after 10 years of hard work, $3,000 in debt working out of my parents' basement. So I literally went from basement number one in 1997 to basement number two 10 years later with less than I had at basement number one. And so a lot of people would say at that time, well, no, you should really try something else. It's been 10 years and maybe you should really think about doing something else. In fact, my parents did say that. I just knew I had a vision. I had a dream. I had a message inside of me that really needed to be heard by the world. And so I didn't quit, but at that time I finally made a decision that really changed everything for me. And that's when I decided to hire my first real business coach. Prior to that, I was listening to a lot of bad advice from a lot of really bad teachers out there, and ended up really hurting me and costing me a lot of money and time. And also my self-confidence, they cost me that. And so the point is I hired that business coach, and that really was what turned my life around. And so from 2007, today, we've been able to build, as you mentioned, a multiple seven-figure business, working from my home here in Northeast Ohio, working with six, seven, eight-figure company CEOs, athletes, celebrities, and so on. Really what we're known for now is helping entrepreneurs make more in 12 weeks than they made in the previous 12 months. And we really help them do that by getting their life back, really getting 1 to 3 hours back in their day and 4 to 8 weeks back in their year. So literally, instead of working for your business, we help you to get your business working hard for you. And that really has changed a lot of lives last 25 years.
That's quite the story. I'm glad you're here and alive and successful. So,
Thank you. Appreciate that.
looking on your website and through your different books and whatnot, one of
Mhm.
the things that kind of stood out to me was a point on how to start an online business with less than $100 without ever leaving the home. Can you go into that?
One of the things that we talk about when I show people, when I show entrepreneurs and teach them and coach them on really making more in 12 weeks than you made in the last 12 months. So what we're really doing is we're compressing time because the two resources that we have are time and money, right? And that's when you're starting a business, you tend to have more time than money, right? Like when I started in basement number one with $800 and a book on HTML, I had plenty of time, but I had no money. And so, one of the things, of course, that we have now today, we have so many tools that are available now that I didn't have back then. For example, you hear a lot about sales funnels. Back then, the only funnel that I'd ever had was funnel cake, and so it's very different from what I had to start with. But anyway, so really, when we look at that, it really comes down to five elements that coach people on, and that really comes down to your beliefs, your habits, your offers, your funnels, and your traffic. And so, what we see is that when I coach people, when I mentor people, entrepreneurs who are either just starting out or maybe they've been doing it for a while and they're still, they haven't reached that, that six figures or, 5-figure months and, 6-figure years. One of the things that we look at is that the one or more of those areas are really not working as well as they need to have them. There's really no way around that. No way around the fact that you have to have those five things in place, whether you want to scale to 5 figures a month or 6 figures a year or even 7 and 8 figures and beyond, which we've helped people do. Really, that comes down to what I call inner game and outer game. So inner game is your beliefs and your habits. That's everything that happens up here that you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do. And then you have the outer game, which is what everybody sees, the customer facing, market facing systems and strategies that we entrepreneurs have to do every single day in order to make money. And so when you look at, that's why I say you can do this in less than $100 a day because of the fact of what the tools that are available now are so much easier and faster than we had when I was starting out. Look at all of that, what I was just saying, it really comes down to really these having four things in place, and that is the right plan, the right tools, the right support, and then taking the right actions. So you have to have the right plan. Is what am I supposed to do? Right? It's like building a house, right? Building your business like building a house. You have to have a blueprint. You have to have. That's why we give people the checklist, the step by step instructions, strategies, the secrets that cost me over $500,000 to figure out in over 20 years of my life. I have to do that. And so you have to have the right plan. That's what to do. Then you need the right tools. That's how to do it. And we give you the tools. We show you exactly what to do and also what not to do because there's so many tools out there. One of the big questions that I get all the time is where do I start? Of that is cutting through the clutter. There's so much clutter, so much shiny object syndrome. People find it really hard to focus. So we help them with that. Then of course you get the right support. You're working with me, someone who's helped people make over $2.7 billion over the last 25 years. But then it really comes down to taking the right actions. You can have the greatest recipe, the greatest plan, the greatest blueprint, all the checklists, all the strategies. But if you don't take the right action, then of course things going to happen. Not like you can say, listen, I'm going to lose weight by sitting on the couch and waiting for six-pack abs to appear. Well, good luck with that. It's not not going to happen. You do have to take the actions, and what that means is confronting the fear that always comes as a result, right? Because everything you desire, this is something I teach people every single day. My clients on where I'm speaking at events or virtual live events, keynote speeches, whatever I'm doing. One of my favorite phrases that I say all the time is everything you desire is on the other side of fear. No matter what it is that you want, whether it's to make more money, grow your business, write a book, publish or create an online course, lose weight, find happiness, find love. No matter what it is, it always is on the other side of fear. So if you don't confront that fear, then you're just going to stay stuck where you are. You're going to get the same results, and you probably keep doing shiny object syndrome. So that's the things that we work with people on.
That's really interesting. Speaking of fear, I know one of the things you talk about are eliminating the causes of self sabotage and the fear of success. And I think a lot of people think about fear of failure Rarely do you hear people talk about the fear of success. I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really has something to do also, we talk about that in my books, like Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. We do want to make sure that all of your viewers, everybody watching and listening to this program, you can actually get this book for free. Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. The book is free. The website is sendmeabooknoah.com, very easy to remember. Sendmeabooknoah.com. But basically, that's what, when I talk about head trash, when you're asking about self sabotage or the fear of success, that's a symptom of head trash. Right. So, what is head trash? As I teach it, head trash is that voice in your head that says, I can't do it because dot, dot, dot. And then you just fill in the blank, right? Well, yeah, Noah, people say to me, Noah, I want to write a book. I want to start a business. I want to grow my business. I want more clients. I want to create an online course. I want to have multiple streams of income, but I can't do it because, right? And then they give me all the excuses, right? And isn't it so amazing that we're so great at finding our excuses, right? And we hold on to those excuses for dear life. It's like we're holding on to the excuses like someone holding on to, a fifth story ledge, because we just don't want to let go of them because they keep us safe. That's what your head trash does. That's what your excuses do. Your excuses keep you safe. And your excuses keep you from confronting the fear that I was just talking about a moment ago, right? So when you look at the fear of failure, the fear of success, whatever it might be, those are just symptoms of a deeper problem that I call head trash. And so head trash is not just negative thoughts. It's not just not believing in yourself. It's really deeper than that. And the problem with that is that you can't really cure it. You can't really get rid of head trash through traditional means like therapy or watching YouTube videos or doing all these shiny objects. None of that is really going to work because you're just looking at symptoms instead of really the deeper problem. Here's a great example. I was working with one of my clients named Sheila, and she to me, and she was making about $5,000 a month in her business, which is, pretty good, right? 5,000 a month is good money, right? She knew she could do a lot more. And so she tried lots of other coaches, hired a lot of people, spent a lot of money, and just kept hitting that ceiling. So, I worked with her for about 6 months. And in that period of time, she actually went from making 5,000 a month to making over 75,000 per month, not year, per month. So literally a 15 times increase, $70,000 a month increase. And a big, big part of that was helping her take out that head trash, as I talk about. So for everybody watching this program and listening, think about all those negative voices in your head or the negative excuses that you have. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I can't afford it. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I made too many mistakes. Whatever those beliefs, those negative beliefs might be, those self-limiting beliefs, they are in fact limiting yourself. So you make them a self-fulfilling prophecy. Will Rogers once said, it ain't what a man don't know that gets him in trouble. It's what he knows that ain't so. And the way that I teach that in my modern parlance is it's not what we don't know that gets us in trouble. It's what we think we know that is completely false, right? We think we know. Well, no, yeah, you don't understand. I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I made too many mistakes. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. Meanwhile, I could come in and literally show you where you're wasting money, where you're spending money on things that aren't getting you towards your pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And that's one of the reasons we're able to help people make these massive, dramatic, life changing increases in a very short amount of time.
Some ways it's a lifelong process of
Mhm.
recognizing when you have head trash and learning to get rid of it and or replace it or
Well, what we do though is we accelerate that process, right? Because yes,
right.
you're right, it is a lifelong. But the point is that if you're just watching YouTube videos, if you're just doing all these different shiny objects, then you're just spinning your wheels, and you're not confronting the real issue, the real cause of those symptoms. Those are all symptoms. Shiny object syndrome is a symptom. Procrastination is a symptom. All these reasons why I can't do it because they're all just symptoms. And so what people do, I mean, when I teach, I have a program called the 12-week breakthrough where I help people make more in 12 weeks than they made in the previous 12 months. I mean, we're doing a class right now, and this is literally what's coming up for people. I'm too scared. I can't do it. Don't have the time. Nothing ever works out for me. And I'm saying, you realize that you're creating all of these things. None of that is true. And yet that was my diary 20 years ago. Everything that talking about, that was what I was doing. So yes, we all have to go through this process. But the point is, if you don't have the checklist, the blueprints, the plan, the support, the tools, then it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer. So that's why we're able to accelerate. And that's the point, is reaching your pot of gold so much faster than you ever could doing it all by yourself.
Mhm. Yeah, and shiny object syndrome, that's one that I struggle with, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs do.
Yes,
So you're saying that's a symptom of something. I'm curious if you can go more into that specifically, what that would be a symptom of.
absolutely. So all of us have at our fingertips at every things that I like to call IDDs. Okay. IDD stands for infinite distraction devices. These are infinite distraction devices. That's what they are. Okay. Now, of course, these are great tools, aren't they? Right. A smartphone is a wonderful tool. Okay. But it's also an infinite distraction device. You can watch cat videos on YouTube for the next 10,000 lifetimes. Right. And still never be done. And what's better than watching cat videos on YouTube? Right. Nothing. Right? I mean, so here, that's so cute. I mean, I got a cat and all, I could just film her all day and have a great time. Anyway, so you get the point. Is watching cat videos going to get you to your pot of gold? Of course not, right? But nevertheless, what I mean when I say that shiny object syndrome is a symptom, it means that that is a behavior that is a learned behavior. All right. And what is a learned behavior for? It's a learned behavior to not confront the fear of fill in the blank, whether it's fear of failure, fear of success, fear of rejection, fear of people not liking you, fear of there's only about like 12 fears really that we fear. So there's not like hundreds of I mean, of course you fear spiders and things like that, but that's not what we're talking about. You know what I mean? I'm talking about, these more internal fears of failure, success, etc. And so that's why shiny object syndrome, another, great example is just like I just said, watching just scrolling on social media. Right? Oh, but you don't understand. No, I'm too busy. I can show you where you're wasting 1 to 3 hours a day and not getting anywhere, right? So that's why we say, like, for example, in my 12-week breakthrough program, we say we help people make more in 12 weeks than they made in the last 12 months while getting back 1 to 3 hours a day and 4 to 8 weeks in their year. And people literally say, but that's impossible. No, I'm so busy. I'm so busy. I go, yeah, you're busy doing the wrong things. Okay. So we all have the same 24 hours in the day. You, me, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, we all have the same 24 hours. So it is not a fact that, you don't have the time. That's a lie. The fact is you don't have the right plan, the right tools, and the right support. And therefore, that's why you're not taking the right actions.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And that's keeping you from your pot of gold.
Another thing that you talk about that I'm curious to hear more about is the income happiness scale.
Yeah. Okay, that is a long kind of discussion. I'm
Oh,
gonna try to give it as quickly as possible, but it's very visual. So
okay.
basically, I'll try to give it as quickly as I can and as succinctly as I can. Basically, I ask entrepreneurs, why did you start your own business? They say things like, well, I want more freedom. I want to spend more time with my family. I want more time off. I want to take more vacations. I want to be my own boss. I don't want to work 9 to 5. And I say, well, that's interesting because right now you're working 92 hours a day. You don't see your family and you're not making the money you should be making. So what's wrong with this picture, right? And they go, that's a good point. I go, yeah. All right. So the answer of why you started your business or why you want to, for those of you who are just starting out or thinking about starting, the answer really comes down to two things. We want more income and more happiness, right? We want more money and we want to be happier. We want fulfillment, joy, peace of mind, whatever you want to say. I just call it happiness, right? And so the point is everybody focuses on money and everybody focuses on happiness. Okay, that's not wrong, except it just doesn't work. And so what I do is I teach what causes income and what causes happiness. See, both income and happiness are causes of other things. All right. So what I want you to think about for everyone watching and listening is think about where you are on the income happiness scale. Meaning you can be doing things that make you happy that aren't making you money. Well, that's called a hobby. You can be doing things that don't make you happy and don't make you money. That's called busy work. You can be doing things that make you money that don't make you happy. That's called the golden handcuffs, right? Meaning, oh, I'm making money, but I'm miserable. And then that fourth quadrant is things that make you money and make you happy. And that's what we call your freedom lifestyle. So that's why, again, in my programs and my coaching and my mentoring, like 12-week breakthrough, we help people spend 70 to 75% of their life in the freedom lifestyle quadrant, where you have more income and more happiness, and which means you have more time, more freedom. You get to spend more time with your family, doing things you love, traveling, whatever it might be, you see? And so that's another example of putting the right plan, the right tools, and getting the right support in place. If you don't do these things, it is going to be impossible. I hate to use the word impossible, but very, very, very hard for you to spend, 70, 75% of your life of your time really in the freedom lifestyle quadrant. Because when you go to the freedom lifestyle quadrant, you have the money, you have the happiness that you started your business in the first place. And that means it's like going to heaven without the inconvenience of dying.
So is that where the 7 hidden steps to more wealth and happiness, is that kinda where that comes in?
Well, yes. I mean, that's something that I call the power habits. ultimate success. So this is a book that I wrote called Power Habits. You can learn more about that on Amazon or just powerhabits.com. Power Habits is a teaching that I've been teaching for over 20 years now, which is the full title is The Power Habits of Unconsciously Successful People. Now, what I mean by that is highly successful people, the 1%, are doing things unconsciously that they're not even aware they're doing. So that's one reason why people say about my teaching or my coaching is that my work starts where Napoleon Hill is left off. See, Napoleon Hill, I'm sure most people know that Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, right? And millions of people have read that book over the last 100 years. And the point is, well, why isn't everybody rich, right? And the reason is because he was teaching the conscious habits. In other words, how do you become successful? Well, you do this, 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 and this. Well, that's great. What if I tried doing this, and it didn't work? Right. And so the point is what I teach, and again, being the nerdiest nerd in the industry, I went in and I studied what highly successful people do that they don't even know they're doing. See, it's one thing to talk about conscious habits, right? You ask a highly successful person, so what'd you do? Well, I did this, this, and this. Okay, I'll do that. And I'm like, well, then why didn't it work? Right. That's why I shared my story earlier of I did that. I mean, I'm like, I'm following all these instructions. Why the heck isn't this working? Well, it's because nobody told me. And I mean, I'm the first person to talk about this. That's why I'm doing it for a quarter century now. Is here's what highly successful people do that they don't know they're doing. Right. And so hence it's an unconscious habit. And so that's what power habits literally means. And that's why going to your question, the 7 hidden steps, and that's why it's called the 7 hidden steps to more wealth and happiness. That was the subtitle of another book that I wrote years ago called The Secret Code of Success. And so these are literally hidden steps. And once you see them, you're like, oh, well, that makes total sense. That's another reason we help people go from 5,000 to 75,000 a month, go from $60,000 in debt to a 6-figure income in less than a year, go from making 4 million in revenues to 20 million in revenues. I mean, it just the stories, the examples, the case studies go on and on. We have so much proof of this that it works over the last 2 decades. And that's what's so exciting. Whether you're just starting out, whether you've been in business for a while, or whether you're really looking to scale your business, this works at every level.
Another thing that you talked about that I'm curious about are the how to avoid the big 3 money mistakes that even smart people make.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something that I do talk about in the book, Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. In fact, the subtitle is How to Avoid the 3 Biggest Money Mistakes Even Smart People Make. So again, you can get this book for free at sendmeabooknoah.com. Very easy to remember. Sendmeabooknoah.com. And by the way, what I mean is the book is free. I've covered the cost of the book because you're watching this program or listening to this program right now. And then we just ask you to cover the shipping. So again, that's free at sendmeabooknoah.com. So the 3 big money mistakes that I talk about in the book are number 1, really not getting rid of your head trash about money, right? Like the things that I've been talking about in this interview. Most people just literally aren't aware of these things. They're like, what? What's head trash? Never heard of this, right? The second thing is having that shiny object syndrome that I talked about. I talked about the reasons for that. And then really the third big money mistake that I see people making is try to do this all by yourself. Trying to watch YouTube videos, trying to figure it out on your own. And I get that. I mean, I did that at the beginning, but it really cost me a lot of time and money. I mean, I ended up spending over $500,000, over $500,000 over a 20-year period. Well, that's a lot of money, but worse, it's a lot of time. And that's the thing. We have a lot of people in this industry that have that shiny object syndrome, but also there's a lot of really good marketers that can't teach their way out of a paper bag. And they just truly suck at teaching. And I know because I paid them a lot of money. And so you really want to, just for everyone listening and watching this program, you really want to just do your homework. You want to do your research. Make sure you're following a mentor, a coach who really has a long proven track record of success, not just for themselves, but far more importantly, helping other people reach their pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important to have that mentorship and accountability,
Right. That's right.
because otherwise, if you're going it alone, it's difficult.
It is. It just, again, money you can get back. I mean, losing money, of course, it hurts, right? But you can get the money back, and I've gotten the money back. However, you can't get the time back. So that's the thing. That's why look at making more than 12 weeks than you made in the last 12 months. I mean, what's your life worth to you? What is getting those years back worth to you? I mean, and I've never worked with anyone who didn't tell me that their head trash wasn't costing them at least $10,000 every single month. So if you think about the fears and the head trash that's holding you back, for everyone watching this program and listening, remember that it's costing you money. It's costing you time. So, it's kind of invisible, but yet when you really look at it, you see, oh my gosh, this is really costing me. And so that's why you need to do whatever you need to do, whether it's get my book or, work with me in one of my programs, but you need to do whatever you need to do and get rid of that head trash so that you don't have to keep paying that cost every single month, really, and every single year. Because as Ben Franklin said, the only two guarantees in life are death and taxes. Well, with all due respect to old Ben, I would argue there's a third guarantee, which is if you keep doing the same thing, I guarantee you'll keep getting the same result. Right. So if you want to get a different result, we do have to take different actions.
So is that this book, is that where you also talk about how to think like a millionaire in less than 5 minutes a day?
I do talk about that in my book Head Trash. I also talk about it in the book Power Habits that I talked
Okay.
about earlier. But really, yeah, I mean that comes down to retraining your brain and reprogramming your brain. Yeah, I mean it literally I call it my core 4 formula. So my core 4 formula is using the 4 modes of human communication. We humans communicate in 4 ways: reading, writing, speaking, and listening, right? If you think about the ways that we communicate ideas from our head, through those 4 modes. We reading, writing, speaking, and listening. That's how we communicate, right? So, like I've written many books, I speak, I do keynote speeches and for organizations, whether it's live events or keynote speeches. Of course, I read, and then you want to write as well. Reading, writing, speaking, and listening, right? You want to listen as well. Like you're listening to this program right now to elevate your consciousness. So everybody listening to this program is very smart to listen to Sarah here because she's giving you great information. So that's the kind of thing that can really raise your consciousness and take less than 5 minutes a day.
Mm. Yeah, I thought you were gonna say reading, writing, and arithmetic there for a minute.
Well, yeah, in school, it's funny you said that because I talk about the fact that of course the 3 R's are the traditional 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. But the irony is that right now we have the 3 R's, which is read, recite, and regurgitate.
Uh,
And so that's what happens is a lot of people go to school and they're like, and then you get out in the real world and like, gee, I didn't learn anything useful whatsoever. And I'm like, yeah, I know. And it's sad because, in school, we're just not taught these things. We're not taught, how to master our inner game. We're not taught about beliefs. We're not taught about habits, the things that actually, are useful in life. And it's too bad. So I'm on
aw
a mission to change that as much as I can, help, both parents, educators, also working with the military, veterans and people in the military to help, really help change the education here, not just in this country, but literally around the world.
Mhm. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. And again, that's sendmeabooknoah.com. That's get rid of your head trash about money. And then if people want to learn more about you just in general, it's noahstjohn.com
That's right.
or successclinic.com as well. And then, of course, I'll have show notes at thesarahstjohn.com/Noah. And was there anything else that you wanted to touch on that we hadn't yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a free gift also, another free gift. I
Oh,
love giving
another.
free gift. But yeah, in fact, it's also very easy to remember. Free gift from Noah.com.
Oh,
Free gift from Noah.com. And that is a training that I recently did on how I help my clients make more in 12 weeks than they made in the last 12 months. So if you'd like to make more in 12 weeks than you made in the last 12 months, which who wouldn't want that, right? Just go to freegiftfromnoah.com and you can watch that training that I did recently.
oh, awesome. Well, I'll have to check that out and also get the book as well. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I loved hearing your story and how you went from nothing, well, actually, worse than nothing in debt,
Yeah.
and then just possible suicide to then success and helping other people succeed. So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Do you have a podcast that isn't growing the way you want it to? There may be a simple reason for that, but you aren't sure how to decipher what the problem is. That's where a podcast audit comes in. I am offering a new service where you send me a podcast episode of your choice, and I audit the podcast for your cover art, podcast name, intro and outro, episode titles, format, sound quality, production value, episode graphics, length, flow, on air performance, calls to action, podcast directory discovery, podcast website, show notes, social media presence, and more. I am offering this service for just $97 for a limited time. Get your audit today at podseam.com/podcast audit. That's PODSEAM.com/podcast audit.